Imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when I found out last night that ESPN is potentially losing millions of dollars with their latest broadcast deal. Well, Casey, are you talking about their deal with the NBA? No, with the NBA, I would imagine that ESPN is losing billions of dollars instead of millions of dollars. I am talking about their deal with the world's worst entertainment. Headline at something called Wrestling Headlines, the go-to source for grown men who consume grilled boogers. ESPN's $325 million WWE deal not off to a good start. Yeah, no shit. This could potentially be one of the worst deals that ESPN's ever made. They paid $325 million thinking that grown men who live in a house on flat tires would be willing to spend $30 a month to watch WWE. They can't even afford to put air in their foundational tires because most of the air is given to their inflatable girlfriend. So, who in the hell thought they had an extra $30 just laying around to watch simulated combat? When ESPN agreed to this deal with WWE, they were hoping to increase the number of paid subscribers to their streaming platform. Now, this exciting new partnership, it's been in place for less than 2 months. How many newly paid subscribers has ESPN added in the last couple of months? 0. Well, KC, that's simply not true. ESPN reported 125,000 new subscribers for WrestlePalooza. WrestlePalooza? What the hell is that? Whatever the hell it is, even though it generated 125,000 new subscribers, none of those subscribers extended past the free trial period. Which means they consumed the world's worst entertainment for free, and then they decided it wasn't worth paying for. And who can blame them? WWE's premiere on ESPN was so dreadfully boring, even ESPN was criticizing it. ESPN was criticizing a show that aired on their own network. They were criticizing a show they paid $325 million for. Unfortunately for ESPN, this deal with WWE, it's not the only bad deal that they've made recently. Earlier this year, the worldwide leader in woke, they extended the contract of Stephen A. Smith. They increased his woke welfare to around $20 million a year. They are paying Stevie, Sean Hannity, money for WNBA ratings. They are paying $20 million a year for a show that averages between 400,000 and 500,000 viewers. Now, at the time, I understood why ESPN overpaid Stephen A. He is literally their only homegrown star. Over the last few years, with ESPN's complete inability to create new stars, although it's not from lack of effort, they tried to make Bomani Jones the originator of the term huge embarrassing failure. They tried to make Bo Jones a star, and ESPN couldn't elevate him to polished turd status. They have tried with Mina Kimes, Mo McDougal, Elle Duncan. They have wasted millions of dollars trying to turn huge embarrassing failures into mainstream stars. With their inability to develop talent from within, ESPN was forced to go outside the network and pay for established stars like Pat McAfee and Shannon Sharpe. Hey, it's me, Shay Shay! So I understood why ESPN would be willing to vastly overpay to keep their only homegrown star at the network. And look. Stephen A. Smith seemed to have turned a corner. He was no longer complaining about mythical racism. He no longer believed in the myth of white supremacy. Hell, Stephen A. Smith, he was even willing to criticize so-called black leaders like Jazz Crockett, who do nothing but exploit their own community for personal gain. Basically, Stephen A. Smith was making himself appealing to normal people, which means there was a chance that this $20 million contract could be worth it for ESPN. But there was just one problem, one tiny problem. The Stephen A. Smith we have seen recently, it was a disguise. It's false bravado. In the last week, Stephen A. Smith has been trying to make amends to the leaders of the black community. And yesterday morning, as he was pleading forgiveness, he proceeded to absolutely humiliate his primary subsidizers at ESPN. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Later today on the second channel, going to be talking about NBA ratings for their debut on NBC. I think most of you guys will be surprised when you hear these numbers. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Yesterday morning, the FBI arrested Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. They're being accused of being a part of a gambling ring that could have a devastating impact on the NBA. Chauncey Billups is in deep shit. Initially, I thought he was just a player in an underground poker game. But as it turns out, Chauncey Billups played a critical role, allegedly, in defrauding people out of millions of dollars. To make matters worse, the FBI is also charging him with money laundering. Believe me when I tell you, the feds do not play when it comes to money laundering. They'll show lenience on things like drugs, or in the case of Chauncey Billups, they might show lenience on the fraud, but money laundering? The feds do not play when it comes to their money. There has been a lot of blame going around as to who is responsible for this scandal. Obviously, Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, they're responsible. Me personally, I hold Adam Silver responsible because he is the one who embraced gambling. He's the one who allowed the NBA to become infected with the disease of gambling. But according to Stephen A. Smith, we can't really blame Adam Silver. We can't blame Chauncey Billups or Terry Rozier. No, no, no! According to Stevie, there is one man responsible for the potential demise of the NBA. There is one man responsible for tarnishing the integrity of the league. And that one man is Orange Man Bad! Watch for yourself.
Trump is coming. Bad Bunny is performing at the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden you hearing ICE is going to be there, looking to engage in mass deportations. The Super Bowl, disrupting things. Big night for the NBA. Wembanyama put on a show. That has now been smeared because we're talking about this story. Remember, Trump has a long, long history connected to the world of sports because he had those casinos. Where do you think folks were coming half the time? I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the culture. Why am I glad you're here, Monica? Because don't be surprised if the WNBA is next on his list. Because when you've got all of these protests that have been going out there and people that have been protesting against him and what have you, this man is coming. He's coming. And I've been saying it for a long time. And to me, this is the latest nugget of evidence that we're talking about right here. That's not to question the legitimacy of the case. We don't know. We're all sitting up here and we're saying that we don't know. But anybody that has been around him, anybody that has talked to him, anybody that has seen his reactions from the sports leagues and the positions that people have taken, they are not surprised at what's going on today.
Where do we even begin with this steaming pile of absolute shit? For starters, This segment never had a chance of credibility because Monica McNutt was included in the segment. How can you discuss something this serious with Monica McDougal sitting at the table? This is the same Mo McDougal who thought Barry Sanders was Shador Sanders. She probably gets Terry Rozier confused with JJ Redick. Mo thinks Chauncey Billups is a form of Pilates. You bend down like this and do a nice set of Billups. According to Stephen A. Smith, this investigation into the NBA is an example of Donald Trump getting revenge. Now, what evidence did Stevie provide to substantiate these claims? What proof was provided showing Don Trump is using the NBA for personal revenge? Well, I talked to the people in my head who are directly connected to the NBA, the WNBA, the PGA, the LPGA, the LGBTQIA. They're all telling me Don is coming after us. Stephen A. Smith knows he is lying. Stephen A. Smith knows he's full of shit. And he also knows it doesn't matter. You see, this is an act of contrition from Stephen A. Smith. This is another example of Stevie pandering to the so-called leaders of the black community. This is the same thing he does every time he receives the slightest hint of criticism. Stephen A. Smith is a chameleon. On ESPN, he plays the role of Brother Smith, deacon at Woke United Methodist. When he appears on Fox News, he plays the role of the moderate Democrat. When he appears on CNN, he plays the role of the woke activist. When he's interviewed by Crying Ryan Clark, he is one of the boys. When he appears on his own show, I thought this is where we were seeing the real Stephen A. Smith. But to be honest with you, I don't know anymore. I don't know who in the hell Stephen A. Smith is. To make matters worse, I don't think he knows who he is either, because Stephen A. Smith seems to be absolutely terrified to be himself. Like I told you guys the other day, Stephen A. Smith is trying to please everyone. And when you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one. Question is, will it have a negative impact on his drawing power? People are starved for authenticity because we damn sure don't get that from the mainstream media. There's nothing authentic about CNN, MSNBC, ESPN. I thought we were seeing the real Stephen A. Smith with a show on YouTube, but in the last week, Stephen A. Smith has lost all credibility. If he had political aspirations, it's over. Even as a political pundit, those aspirations are over because Stephen A. Smith doesn't have the courage to stand in his own beliefs. The only thing he is willing to say is what he thinks those around him want him to say. Unfortunately for Stevie, he's not to be taken seriously. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.